Here we go. We are starting episode 1 of Beyond the Real podcast. I am Chase Kaler. I'm joined here with Preston
Coburn.
Coburn, that's right. We are new friends, actually.
Yeah.
We met in kind of a weird situation. So Preston came in. I work at a men's suit store, and he came in to purchase a suit, and
I needed to look my best.
you did. You looked great.
I do, yeah.
And it ended up turning into about like a 2-hour Star Wars
Right.
conversation.
Luckily, I didn't have an appointment to get
Yeah,
to.
exactly. No, that was pretty, and it was a slow day for me too, which was good. I didn't have a lot of customers coming in and bugging us, so we just chatted it up for about 2 hours of straight Star Wars. It was great.
And then we just scratched the surface, really.
We really did, and that's why we decided to do this podcast. I mean, I've wanted to do this podcast for a while. I've already got a YouTube channel up, Beyond the Real, which is pretty small. I've got like 40 subscribers, so hopefully we can get more with this podcast.
Hold on, give me a second. You'll have 41 in a minute.
Oh, there we go. He's gonna add it. But yeah, so I needed a co-host, and Preston seems to know his stuff and has some good opinions, so invited him along, and now we're gonna make this our little podcast. Hopefully we can do this weekly or as much as possible. So
Any excuse to talk about Star Wars is a good time for me.
you always need that excuse.
Yes.
And I apologize. I know this is only the first episode, but I already have a cold, so I'm going to sound a little weird, even though you don't know what I sound like normally. So if you hear sniffles, that would be why. I apologize.
Usually you sound like the that movie announcer guy.
That's right. Exactly. At the beginning of Clone Wars, that's my normal voice right there, yeah. Yeah. The Republic in danger. No, I can't even do it. But yeah, so we're just going to go through. We're going to kind of start out by introducing the podcast here. I'll probably splice in the Beyond the Real intro, just for kicks and giggles.
Shall we punch it? Punch it!
Punch it!
Punch it!
Punch it!
I was thinking we might need a theme song. Like I have that little like supercut of Han Solo, that I'll splice in. But I don't know. We can create a theme song or something. That's always fun to do. So,
Do you want me to sing?
I want you. Yeah, go ahead and just at your heart's desire.
I can't.
That's okay. I was joking around at work. There you go. Little Steele Saunders in there. That's what he does. He always opens up to the Cantina song. No, I was joking with a friend at work. I can't remember what I said. It was like Beyond the Real podcast, where we go beyond the real in a podcast. So yeah, that's a workshop. It's very close to being perfect, but
now just like another 2 minutes of that going in a loop.
Exactly it. We'll just loop that together, and then we'll have the perfect theme song. But yeah, so basically this podcast is going to cover all things Star Wars. We'll do a little bit of news. You kind of mentioned before we got started, everyone kind of does the news, so we'll just kind of briefly bring it up, just because I know when I like listening to podcasts, if I just get one place where I can just kind of hear what's going on, get a couple people's takes, more so getting people's opinions about the news is what interests me than actually delivering the news.
And I've got those.
And you've got opinions are what we're here for. We'll do some reviews for sure, like movies and games. We'll probably talk a lot about gaming, especially tabletop gaming, because that's kind of your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of get into that when we do our intros as to what you do with your tabletop Star Wars gaming. We'll talk collecting, of course, and expanding canon, and costuming, and all that jazz. So we'll get into that. Every week we're going to try to get a new guest if possible. It's probably not going to be the case. It's probably going to be just you and me a lot of times, but we both have friends in the Star Wars universe or in the nerd universe that probably have some good opinions that we can.
Well, you have friends.
I'm not the only one that has friends. Okay, well, I have friends that I can bring in, and we'll share them. We'll make them your friends as well. And then like I said earlier, we have the Beyond the Real YouTube channel, which is going to have some hopefully accompanying video footage and just fun stuff there. So. Let's get into introducing us. Like I said at the top, my name is Chase Kaler. I'm an independent filmmaker and student where I want to learn how to write and direct. I'm, done a couple of my own short films so far. But Star Wars is really the one thing that kind of got me into that, just studying the behind the scenes, watching the commentaries on the DVDs. really made me, fall in love with filmmaking in general, not just Star Wars. I am a self-proclaimed Star Wars fanboy, which is pretty easy to do. I don't consider myself a toxic fan, so there's a lot of those people out there who are fans of the franchise, but all they do is complain about it. I think it's better to talk about what we like rather than to spend too much time dwelling on what we hate. So
yeah, I didn't send a single tweet to Marie.
Kelly Marie Tran.
Kelly Marie Tran.
I'm
yeah.
proud of you. That's good.
I'm
I didn't
part
send
of that
I didn't
fan
send a
base
tweet to her either. I don't really know how Twitter works yet. I'm still figuring that out. So
we need to get a handle for the podcast.
we do need to get a handle for the podcast. Yeah, people can tweet at us if we ever get listeners. So we'll see. Hopefully that's the case. Yeah, man, I feel bad about what people did to Kelly. That's so, and Ahmed Best too. He went through that same thing.
Yes.
I mean, it was before Twitter, but just imagine if the prequels came out when Twitter was around.
Right.
You just have chaos. So
yeah,
sad thing. Anyways, I do like other franchises, not just Star Wars. So I'm really into most things. Comic books, movies, things like that. Really like Avatar, Firefly, D&D, Red Dead Redemption is my jam. Like I spend way too much time on that when I'd rather be, I should be working or writing scripts. Lord of the Rings, things like that. So. Yeah, and then Preston, you go ahead and take the mic and tell us whatever you want the listeners to know about yourself and your expertise.
I'm Preston Coburn. I am, I guess you could call me a scientist.
There we go. I like that.
I'll go with that. Now I work in molecular diagnostics, which is...
Sounds really cool.
It does.
Midichlorians, right? That's what that is? Okay,
exactly.
You deal with midichlorians.
So if you want to know your midichlorian count, come my way.
Yeah.
And we'll see how force sensitive you are. We were actually the lab of choice for choosing the chosen one.
Oh, nice.
Little known fact.
Yeah. So did you come up with the prophecy then? Was that your company?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. That caused a lot of problems for the galaxy. But as long as you apologize about it on Twitter, you should be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'll come up, in a couple years when I become famous, and then they'll find that out.
And then they'll cancel whatever project you're working on.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's how it works.
There goes my Oscar hosting guild.
Oh
gig.
man. Wow.
No, so I work with my day job is working in the laboratory of hospitals doing testing. So if you want to come in, get your whatever's going on tested, we can see if it's the flu, something like that.
There we go.
But outside of that, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I also saw a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but instead of going into the filmmaking side of things, I really just enjoyed watching ILM build the sets and blow things up, and that's where I really got into it, was like the mechanical, how they did it thing, not so much the storytelling. And outside of Star Wars, I'm a big fan of anything sci-fi. So Isaac Asimov is, my biggest hero. So I think I've read almost every one of his short stories, and I'm currently working my way through his Empire series.
So tell me who that is, because I actually don't know that name.
Have you ever heard of iRobot?
Yes. Okay.
The Will Smith movie?
Alan Tudyk is my favorite.
Yeah.
He's great.
So he wrote... so he's kind of like the father of robotics. He came up with the word robotics. He was the first one ever to use it. And
when was this? Is this like a long time ago?
Yeah,
or?
like the 40s.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's dead now. I think he died in the 70s.
Because it used to be called like automatons before then, right? Or is that something
so there was
different?
the word robot that came from like a Czech or something like Eastern European.
Gotcha.
But then no one, there was robots before Isaac Asimov, but he came up with the term robotics, like the study of robots.
Yeah.
And now that's an actual field that people are in. There's roboticists and things. So yeah, I'm really into his stuff. That's where most people know him from.
Is that kind of maybe one of your goals? Like, if you could do any job, would it go into robotics or
no?
No, okay.
No.
It's just cool to read about for in your sci-fi stories. Yeah.
I don't know anything about computers or electronics or any of that stuff. If I could go into anything, it'd be writing sci-fi short stories.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but I'm also a big D&D fan. I run a Star Wars 5th edition, reskinning of 5th edition campaign.
That's awesome.
So maybe we can bring some of that stuff into the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. That stuff is really fun to me. I like seeing, character creation is like my big thing. And so like watching people, create something in a universe that it's like, wow, I would have never even thought to put those elements together and create this totally awesome, unique individual.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're probably going to go off on lots of tangents today, but
That's what this is for.
quick tangent here is last night we played, and my crew, they call themselves the Silent Wind because they're silent but dead. No, they call themselves the Unseen Wind because they're silent and deadly, and they're all Force users.
Like a bad fart. That's
exactly. So our
welcome to Beyond the Real, the fart joke podcast.
No, our campaign takes place in 14 AFE.
Okay.
After the formation of the Empire, which is 5 BBY.
Yeah.
And
kind of that Han Solo or Solo Rogue One era.
Yep. So
okay.
height of the Empire, and so they're all Force sensitives, and so they don't really know too much about the Force because no one was really around to train them.
Yeah.
And so they just call it the Wind, because one of them has like premonitions, so like the Wind told him so. Anyway, so they decided to go pit fighting on a refueling station called the Wayward Comet, and there was this lady there that they were fighting, and she had a KX series security droid, which is like K2SO.
Okay, yeah.
So it was her and her she called him K6 up against these three Force sensitive guys. They're all level 1, and they just like wiped out this droid and then just murdered her. But one of them was nice enough to quickly stabilize her before she just died outright. So then they go on a heist to steal some stuff from the Empire, and she's the one that ends up coming. She was just a throwaway character, just someone for them to kill. And she came to their rescue when they were like stuck in a really bad spot. And so like you said, just having like characters and story are what I'm really into. So that's my favorite part of Star Wars and any sort of fandom.
And that's what's so great about tabletop gaming is you never know what's going to happen, and it's just like writing it as you go. And sometimes it turns out really great, sometimes it's not so great. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of one of the cool things about Star Wars, because as much as people say, oh, this latest trilogy was not planned out, well, none of the Star Wars are really planned out. I mean, maybe a basic outline. Mm-hmm. Like when you DM, you've got a basic outline of where you want things to go, but things are getting thrown in at you all the time. And I mean, in filmmaking, you kind of just grab what sticks and you take what's good. In tabletop gaming, it's like, okay, maybe that was kind of dumb, but we move on and we go to a next session. And it's just, I think that's what kind of is part of the heart of Star Wars. Is just, it's oh, this was cool. Oh, this is cool. Okay, that was really cool. Let's keep going. Oh, that was kind of weird, but that's fine. We'll keep going and find something that's really cool. So it's really cool. I'm just saying cool a lot. So okay. Well, let's see. That's pretty much the intro to us. Unless there's anything else you want to add about your.
I've rambled on enough.
Okay. Let's see. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the formatting of the podcast and kind of what we like to do. I feel like at the beginning of every episode, we should kind of just catch up on what's going on with our lives as far as maybe Star Wars related or your game or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then do a little bit of housekeeping, which, nothing to be done on the first episode, obviously.
We don't have sponsors today?
We don't have sponsors. We are sponsored by Beyond the Real YouTube channel. That's our sponsor for today, as well as Beyond the Real on Instagram. So, they paid a lot of money for that spot. So
I'm going to get on there. I'm going to send some emails to, like, Corellia, I'm trying to think of all like the company names I can think of in Star Wars.
Oh, there you go.
The Cybernetic. I know there's like a Cybernetics one. I'm going to see if any of them will sponsor us.
That's the ones that always kills me on trivia. Like I play Star Wars trivia a lot, and I'm usually pretty good about things that like you actually see in the movies or like know in canon. But then they're like, what company made this blaster? And you're like, Blastech? Like that's the only one I know. Like it's a DL? Like I can tell you what it's called, but not the company that made it.
If it's in Battlefront 2, I probably know the name of the blaster, but
there you go.
Not who made it.
Right. Let's see. So then we'll, if we have any guests that day, we'll intro the guest, report on any big news, and then usually we'll move into a main topic if we have a main topic that day, or which is, talking to our guest. And then what I would like to do is every episode maybe do a quick review on a movie or TV show. Usually what's going to be current. Like, so today we'll probably talk a little bit about that new Clone Wars episode. I know you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So I won't I won't spoil anything for you, but we can talk a little bit about it. So go check that out because that's actually pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And then we'll end with, we have a new segment that we're going to try, and it's all new segments, I guess, because this
Yeah.
is the first episode. But we're gonna do what the workshop name right now is, just dropping them into Star Wars, which is gonna be just kind of a little fun game we'll play. If you want to explain it better, you're the one who came up with this idea. So
How about we call it Where We Droppin'?
where are we dropping? There we go.
No, so yeah, I kind of want to play. It's just kind of like a thought game, really, because this is the kind of stuff that I like to think about. Like I said, I really like characters. So what if we took one of my favorite characters from some other property and we just dropped them somewhere in Star Wars? I think it'd be fun to kind of like pick a planet. We pick a character, we pick a planet, we pick a time period, and then we just talk about
Just drop them in, see what they
would
do.
happen.
Yeah,
So
I think that's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be a fun thing to play with there, and then. If we ever get listeners, we'll do listener questions and comments at the end.
Yeah.
If we get people tweeting us or sending us emails, we'll talk about all that at the end. So let's go ahead and just break into news. Just got a couple of stories. It's not a huge news week. Biggest stuff would probably be the Toy Fair that happened in New York. Dropped a lot of cool new product. So if you're a collector, there's a lot of really exciting news. Do you do much collecting? I know you said you have a little bit of a Lego collection going on.
yeah, so the only thing I collect are the Star Wars Microfighters Lego sets. I don't collect all of them. I just collect the ones I want.
Yeah. Well, that's what collecting is. If you can't collect, if you look at my huge collection of Star Wars junk, according to most people, yeah, you can't just grab everything. It's way too much there. I mean, you'd have to be a billionaire to own every Disney property, or Lucasfilm merchandise that they have.
Definitely.
So first thing on the news is just the Rise of Skywalker Blu-ray coming out on March 31st. And then I think the digital copy is coming out like a week earlier, which is always interesting to me that they do that, because I guess some people do buy the digitals, but I feel like a lot of the big fans have the hard copies of most of them already, so they just kind of want to continue that. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
So are you going to get it, do you think, or do you collect it? Okay.
I have all of them.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I have to get each of them. So.
I'm the same way. Even the ones that I wasn't too fond of, I was like, well, I have to get it. Like, I'm not going to have a big hole in my collection.
Yeah.
So
that was my thought too. I was like, do I really need it? Like, I have Disney Plus, it's going to be on there.
Right.
But I'm like, I have to.
Yeah.
I have to get it.
Yeah, it's that pride of just knowing you can see them all on your DVD shelf, and they're all there. So, and I display mine in my room somewhere around here. Oh yeah, it's right there next to my Malcolm Reynolds gun, which you probably can't see. What did you say that was called? You said there was
the Liberty Hammer.
The Liberty Hammer. That's such a cool name for a gun, the Liberty Hammer.
I mean, it's Malcolm Reynolds.
It's Malcolm Reynolds. Cool. He is the coolest. That the fact that they canceled that show, man, it's so sad. Okay. Welcome to Beyond the Real Firefly podcast.
But I also collect, it just kind of in the film world, I collect reel-to-reel projectors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is really cool. My wife picked me up. Oh, it's right there underneath Salacious Crumb, a reel that she just picked up. And she's like, did you want this? I was like, sure. But it's like blank. So
is it?
I don't know what to do with it, but
I have
looks cool.
8mm, Super 8, and 16mm film projectors. I've had to revamp some of them and kind of tinker around with them. Yeah. Yeah, and then I have Star Wars on film.
Really?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It's like only like a 50-foot 8mm film, but it has sound. I unfortunately don't have a sound projector, but it's something I collect.
That's really cool. Where did you find that?
Thrifting.
Yeah.
Online. Yeah, like eBay. Not eBay, but it was like Craigslist.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to have. I have like a couple of frames that
Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's you can kind of hard to see with the stuff behind it, but my friend got me that. That's a frame from Empire Strikes Back.
That's
so
a good frame.
Oh, it's a great frame. Yeah, it's the siblings kissing right there. A little bit of Star Wars incest. Can't have Star Wars without it.
I mean, some people kiss their siblings.
Yeah, right on the lips. Just perfect.
To make their boyfriend jealous.
Have you seen Fanboys?
No.
Oh, that's such a good movie. They argue about that for like a whole scene.
I saw that scene.
Oh
yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So yeah, Skywalker's coming out. Grab the Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
I only saw that movie twice in theaters. Like all other ones, I've seen like 9 or 10 times. I've only seen it twice. How sad is that?
I saw it once.
Yeah, once. That was good enough for you?
I saw all of them once in theaters.
Yeah.
I actually didn't rewatch any of them even after they came out. I bought the Blu-ray and I just put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
I didn't watch any of them again until episode 9 was about to come out, and then I rewatched.
Then you rewatched them all.
7 and 8.
Well, there you go. A little bit fresher opinions on them.
I feel like a steel trap, so once I see it once, I got it.
You got it in.
Yeah.
See, I have to like study them over and over because I have a thing about trivia. So.
Oh, that's true. I don't do trivia.
Yeah. Okay, so Project Luminous. They've been talking a lot about this, like on the Star Wars show and stuff. Do you watch the Star Wars show? The one that
used to watch it religiously.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a couple months.
They've changed the format a little bit, and it's not as good. It's not. So they do like a weekly segment with somebody new. I don't know who she is. She does a great job, but it's like kind of miss, Andy Gutierrez and Anthony Carboni.
Oh, are they off?
They're doing it monthly, and so every week with the news, it's a new people. So I don't know if it's gonna be a different person every week or not, but and I'm not trying to knock them. They're doing a great job, but I miss who I call D Goots and Tony Boney. So
change is hard.
Yeah. But yeah, they've been talking about Project Luminous and how there's a lot of info being dumped on Monday. I don't know if you've heard about Project Luminous.
I have not heard about this.
They've been really like secretive about what it is. So I'm excited to find out the info that they're dumping on Monday. And we're pretty sure it's a book project because they've been announcing a lot of authors. Like Claudia Gray, you mentioned how you really like Lost Stars and was it Leia, Princess of Alderaan? Bloodline, that's right, Bloodline. I think she is involved with it, but I'm not 100% sure. But they keep on using the word High Republic era, so I think it's going to be a collection of storytelling in what used to be called the Old Republic, to guys who remember those games.
Yeah.
But I think they changed the name of that to High Republic. So it's going to be interesting to find out.
It's probably just going to be a lot of canonization of stuff that they deem legends.
That's what I'm thinking. Because we'll talk about it a little bit when we get to the Toy Fair, but like they just released Revan's lightsaber as a Black Series lightsaber. So they don't usually do a ton of Legends stuff as far as like producing product for it. So
Right.
I'm curious to see if they decide to bring Revan back. Everyone's rooting for who was it? Keanu Reeves playing Revan.
That'd be
Which
cool.
would be pretty cool. I mean, Keanu Reeves in anything is... Oh, and then the next thing on the news here, it's saying that J.D. Dillard and Matt Owens are writing a new Star Wars project, either in theaters or on Disney+. So I'm not super familiar with their work. I know one of them did Luke Cage. I don't know if that's something you ever watched.
I watched the first episode.
Yeah. Was it any good?
I know that there's people that really like it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. It didn't catch me that first episode, so I just didn't.
Not your
continue
cup of
watching.
tea. Yeah, it didn't really grab me in the marketing, so I didn't really check it out. I haven't really seen any of those Marvel Netflix TV shows. I did Daredevil for like the first season, which was pretty cool. But so I don't know much about their work, so I don't have a lot of opinion on this story. But there's always these rumblings of, oh, this person's writing this person's doing this. There's so much development that it's like, okay, when there's actually a product to show me, then I'll believe that something's coming out.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am.
There's so many stories about, Rian Johnson's doing another trilogy, or, Kevin Feige's producing one. It's like, I'm sure that they're talking about it, but to me, it's not really news until it's announced that, it's happening, that what's happening. So
These sort of news stories, I typically just take them in and then pretend like I didn't hear it. Because if I start thinking too much about it, I get too excited. And either whether it comes out or not, it's going to be a couple of years.
Right.
And so I can't just sit there excited for that long. So I kind of push it to the back of my mind.
yeah, like I remember when they announced the Cassian Andor, it was like, I feel like it was a couple of years ago almost, like, because I remember when I heard it, I was editing a movie, and this was like a couple semesters back at school, and I was so excited, like I was like trying to like rein in my excitement because I was in class, just working on my assignment with my headphones in, and I heard the news and I was like, this is so cool. And then like nothing forever. And now it's like, oh, it might happen after Kenobi, or they might start production in 2021. It's like,
But
okay.
now Kenobi is canceled.
Well, not canceled.
Oh.
So that was fake news, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Interesting thing.
This is why I'm here.
Yeah. Somebody had mentioned that it was canceled, or they heard there was like a hiccup in production.
Yeah.
They ran with the headline that it was canceled, and it just took on like wildfire, and it spread everywhere. And so everyone was tweeting out forever like, oh, it's canceled, it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault, like everything is to blame on Kathleen Kennedy. But no, it wasn't canceled. It was just I think it might have been pushed back a little bit.
Okay.
I think they're trying to refine some of the scripts a little. which is good because they had scripts in place already for the movie. From what we've heard, these are just rumblings. We don't know for sure, but and then they were trying to adapt them to the small screen. So I'm wondering if they're just struggling to do that. But as far as I know, according to Ewan McGregor, everything is still a go. So
okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why I try to avoid, like, I saw the headline, I'm like, I'm not going to even think about it, because whether I see a trailer or not, that's when I'll get excited.
Yeah, and it's kind of annoying because you can't rely on a lot of news networks, and you might not even be able to rely on our news network because we don't know. We don't know Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger personally.
Well, you don't.
No, oh, well, you do. That's right. Yeah, you'll have to give me his number. But yeah, people will take this small little snippet of information and they'll just run with it because it produces clicks, you know?
Yeah.
People are going to click on it. Or at least they're going to click on the headline and just read the headline and then, write a tweet and send that out. And
that's why the title of this episode of the podcast is going to be All of Star Wars Will Be Deleted.
Exactly.
You have to return all your merchandise.
That's it. Recall on Star Wars. Fans be warned. Okay, so last thing as far as news, new episode of Clone Wars, which we'll kind of talk about a little bit more at the end, or at least I'll talk about a little bit. Don't want to spoil it for you or any listeners out there. Not a lot to spoil. It's clones being clones for the most part.
Yeah,
I
saw some pictures.
Yeah, it's so good looking. And this is a run that people have seen already because the animatics, I don't know if that's the right word, but the unfinished products for some of these arcs were released years ago.
Oh.
After they got canceled, Dave Filoni and crew was like, well, we're not making these anymore.
Right.
Let's throw them out and you guys can just see the stories we were working on because animation happens so long in advance. Like, It takes so much time. So really the major difference is it's just really good to look at.
Yeah.
So really fun. And then the big news, in my opinion, is the New York Toy Fair came out with a lot of new collectibles that are going to be coming out. And a lot of them aren't coming out until next Christmas, which is kind of sad. So, but you can get your pre-orders in now. I don't know if you saw the links that I sent you, if you got a chance to look through those or not.
I did not.
I sent that to your email, I think.
I'm the best co-host.
That's all right. You're here to give your opinion on things that you're learning as well as
That's
the.
right. I'm the Han Solo of the podcast.
That's right.
You're the Obi-Wan. I'm the Han Solo. I'm the everyman that doubts everything and doesn't understand how this works.
It's perfect. I actually have a friend who really wants to come on when I told him I was going to do this. He wants... I referred to him in one of my videos as my non-Star Wars fan friend, and he got really offended by that, even though he's not a Star Wars fan, really. And so he's been bugging me. He's like, so are you going to bring me on as your non-Star Wars fan friend? I was like, it actually might be fun just to bring you on and get your opinion from an outsider,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some cool stuff that was released. I kind of just want to go through. The big stuff was the Baby Yoda. They missed out on this last Christmas, which I'm glad because it would have gotten spoiled for everybody. But the Baby Yoda merch they've skyrocketed with it. They've seen how popular he is, and they are just going full blown crazy on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
So this is going to say a lot about me. So I'm looking at these toys now for the first time, and first thing that jumps out at me is these are very affordable. I thought they were going to be super expensive, but these are $13 to $20.
Some of them are, and then some of them aren't as much as they were. Yeah. So I just want to go through the Yoda stuff real quick. The Baby Yoda. The big one was this animatronic Yoda that has moving ears and eyes, and it coos like a baby. Super cute. I don't know if you've seen the video that's been circulating about it. Of the toy?
No, I haven't.
I'll have to show it to you afterwards. It's kind of creepy. My wife loves Baby Yoda. That's her jam. She's an illustrator.
Okay.
And ever since that came out, she'll do 2 Baby Yoda pieces of art for every normal art she do. She'll be painting something for class, and then she'll be like, I'm bored, so she'll draw Baby Yoda. She loves him. So I want to get her this, hopefully, but she thinks it's kind of creepy, which I kind of agree with.
When it's not moving, it looks fine.
Yeah, but it's like a Furby, right? It moves around, and you're like, okay, that's almost too realistic.
Start repeating what you say back to you.
Yeah, exactly. The deck of cards. I got to get that for her too. She collects playing cards. So.
Do you think my wife would be upset if I got a cardboard cutout of Ahsoka Tano?
I don't think she is allowed to, because it's Ahsoka.
Right.
You can't get upset. She just oozes wisdom.
Right.
Even though she's a teenager in this one, but still.
Oh, is that...
It's the new season 7 cut out for Ahsoka. Now, Slave Leia, there, she might get a little upset, or I guess the new way of referring to it is Hut Slayer. Have you heard that?
I have heard that. Yeah.
That's pretty, and that came from Bloodline, that book, didn't it? Isn't that where we first hear?
I feel like I heard it just like on Twitter or something.
Well, and that's become the new kind of PC way of referring to it, which I agree. Slave Leia is kind of demeaning, and Hut Slayer, it's like that gives some power behind what she did.
Yeah.
But yeah, they refer to her as Hut Slayer in that Bloodlines book when.
That's right.
I can't remember
They don't refer to her costume as like the Hut Slayer.
Right.
They refer to
her as Hut Slayer, and then
right.
somebody attached it to that costume, which I thought was pretty cool. They have something called a Biddy Boomer, which is like a baby Yoda
it's a
Bluetooth speaker. Yeah,
Okay.
It looks like a salt shaker a little bit.
I was gonna say, why do they have a salt shaker?
Yeah, they've got the Build-A-Bear, that's kind of cute.
It looks like he's flipping you off.
It does a little bit. He's got that big old middle finger.
3 fingers makes it awkward.
Some cool T-shirts coming out. I have so many Star Wars T-shirts, like you can't collect them all. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
So Hasbro has these new. They're kind of more like, all toys are for kids, but these are more kiddish, if that makes sense. They don't,
right?
They have
Black Series,
right? They have the projectables. They're more cartoon looking, but they look kind of cool. The Mandalorian one is cool, at least it's got the little Baby Yoda capsule that is towed by his speeder. There's another picture of the
It's smaller than I
hyper
thought.
realistic. They say it's actual size,
Really?
which I don't know because I've never seen Baby Yoda in person.
Because those are kids,
Right.
and it looks small compared to the kids.
And the Mandalorian is, at least, I can't remember his name now. What's the Mandalorian's name? Pedro Pascal. There we go.
I was
Brain
going to say
fart.
Pablo, and I knew it wasn't right,
Pablo.
but it was close.
Something around there. Starts with a P. Pedro Pascal is not a small guy. And so, I would say Baby Yoda is probably like 1.5 to 2 feet at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It does look a little smallish here. But again, they they market it towards kids, but kids don't have the money to buy this stuff.
No.
It's the full-grown 40-year-old men that are buying this and displaying it.
Just to be clear, I'm not 40.
No, I'm not 40 either, but they are out
I'm
there.
42.
There you go. They got the Darksaber
That's awesome.
toy, which they've had one of these in the past and it sucked. So hopefully this one's a little bit better.
I've been seeing a lot of fan builds of Darksabers, and they're
Yes.
so cool.
They are so cool. I'm a member of the Mandalorian Mercs Costuming Club, and there's a couple of people that have the Darksaber, whether they're a Pre Vizsla or a Sabine Wren or Bo-Katan Kryze. They got some awesome ones. This one I thought was really cool. So
The transport.
yeah, the vintage collection. So this transport, I don't know if you had this or if you remember back in the 70s when they came out with this.
That little transport ship was a thing back in the 70s?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I know that from Rebels.
Right, and that's what was so cool is when they came out with that at Rebels, people were like freaking out because it's like that's a random toy they had where you could just like keep your stormtroopers in, and so it wasn't canon or anything. It was just a cool toy that they came out with, and Kenner did that a lot. They just came out with a bunch of different toys that were, because they didn't have enough to like fill the market, so they just started creating simple designs to put out there. And it made its way into canon.
So this was basically like the car-shaped car holder for Hot Wheels, but for the Kenner toys.
But for the Kenner toys, right? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And they did it show it again in Mandalorian, so I think that's cool. They're coming out with a kind of a hyper-realistic version of it on the vintage series. But yeah, they're doing everything with Baby Yoda. Operation, yeah, like
they're slapping his face wherever they can.
they are. There's some creepy stuff. Like there's pajamas out there that they're releasing. This I'm excited about. This is the Lego Mandalorian gunship, which is the Razor Crest, I believe is the name of that. And it's pretty dang cool looking. It's got little IG-11 in there, yeah.
And then I forget his name, but the like bounty hunter boss.
Grief Karga.
Yeah.
It's got Grief Karga, and it's got one of the scout troopers that hits Baby Yoda that everyone's so fond of,
Which I just found out is
Jason Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, and I forget the other guy now.
Yeah.
But
that was the best scene.
That was hilarious. Taika Waititi is quickly becoming like my favorite director of all times. Yeah, he's great. Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
I was about to say I need to. That's like on the top of my list.
It's so good. You gotta check it out.
I was gonna go see it, but then Sonic came out, so I went to Sonic instead.
Oh yeah. Well, you've got a kid, so that makes sense. A story about a blue hedgehog is probably a little more appropriate than a kid growing up in Nazi Germany, so
Yeah.
with Adolf Hitler as his
But
imaginary
actually,
friend.
the Nazi one's probably funnier.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, yeah. I've really enjoyed these Mandalorian Lego sets. Like I have you can kind of see it down there, the ATST Raider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've had a build video with it that's actually going to come up on the YouTube feed soon. I filmed it forever ago, and I just haven't posted it or edited it yet, so sadly. But I'll have to get that out with a buddy of mine who's really into Lego collecting, so he's got a lot of cool knowledge there. Yeah, they got a little Yoda backpack. They have little baby caps for Yoda, which is pretty
There's no
cute.
ears on it, though.
I know, that's a missed opportunity, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's just green with a little picture of him. Like, throw some ears on there.
Manufacturing was probably too difficult to, like, crochet. Oh,
Okay,
there
so
you go.
this is the creepy thing, right? This is the the Baby Yoda costume set with mug included, I guess.
Oh, when
So
he's
you can-
drinking his soup and
Yeah,
staring
you
at
can
his...
sip your bone broth, but it's weird looking because it's designed for like a. I mean, I don't have kids, so you tell me, was that kid like 5 years old,
No,
4,
that's like 3 or 4.
3 or 4? Okay, but it's like way taller than Baby Yoda, obviously, and it looks weird.
Yeah, well, it's because there's 2 faces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you put 2 faces on anything, it's gonna look weird. I don't know. I mean, be what you want for Halloween, but I say leave Baby Yoda for the babies.
Past 2 years, I have been a Zabrak.
Oh, okay.
No, not Zabrak. Shoot. What is Garandan? Kubaz.
Oh, okay.
I've been a Kubaz.
That's pretty awesome. I'll have to check that costume out because that sounds really cool. Let's see, Mandalorian trading cards. That's pretty much it on all the Baby Yoda stuff.
I used to collect the digital Star Wars trading cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On the Topps app?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's get into the Hasbro stuff because this is my bed and brother.
Yes.
Wow, bed and brother. My bed and brother here, folks.
A little bit more incest on the podcast.
Exactly. That's what this is about. We're gonna get reported.
We're on a list already.
That's right. So a couple of things came out in the vintage series. Looks like there's a Luke Skywalker. Looks pretty good. I know.
Yeah. No, the Gonk droid is...
The Gonk droid is weird to me. Like, is it just me or does... Here, let's click on it. I don't remember these weird, like, eyeball things coming out of it.
Yeah.
And they're calling it the Power Droid, so it's... I mean, not the Gonk droid. I mean, a Gonk droid and Power Droid basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got this removable top, which is cool. And you can
Yeah.
kind of see, like, a power generator in there.
I don't remember the additions to it, but I do know that I think it's in Legends. There's some weaponized Gonk droids.
Oh, really?
With like blasters and stuff inside of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just a box of death.
Yep.
And then, yeah, they've got the Black Series Revan Force Effects Elite Lightsaber.
Yeah, don't get too excited.
$250, man. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be grabbing that one. I have the Kylo Ren behind you, which so far has been the most expensive one, as I recall.
yeah.
And that I got for like, I don't know, it was like $60 or something because it was
What
at
about
like
this
a.
one?
Oh, okay, yeah, that one. He's pointing to my Galaxy's Edge.
Is it okay if I take
Yeah,
the
hey,
saber?
grab it. It's totally fine. It's durable. It's the Legacy Series Hero Saber.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
First thing I did was look down the barrel.
Look down the barrel, just like Luke does, or he grabs it and he's like, "Oh, here's the most dangerous weapon in the world. Let me just stare down the barrel of it." Yeah.
We always make fun of him for that part, but I did it without thinking.
Of course
and
you
now
did.
I can't.
Yeah, so that comes with a removable blade and everything. That one was not as much as the Black Series Kylo, though.
Really?
It's actually pretty affordable. I think.
This is metal, though.
Yeah. Well, so is the Black Series.
Oh.
All the Black Series. Yeah, these ones up on the wall and that one, they're all metal. We'll have you play with them afterwards because they're pretty awesome.
I'll have to bring my my lightsaber that I made. It's made out of a sprinkler pipe.
Oh, that sounds cool. That's kind of like what we did with our Rey staff here. My wife does a Rey cosplay, and
Ooh.
we've got just a bunch of random parts.
I
glued
honestly,
on there.
like, yeah, I would have assumed that was a real like market thing.
Yeah, she's great. She's really good at prop making. I not so good. As you can see, my paint job on my Mandalorian kit. Some of it's really good because I have a girl who's part of our club who's an incredible painter, and so she did all the weathering. But the stuff underneath is just like terrible brush strokes, and me with a can of spray paint. So, but yeah, that's $120 I think for just that hilt, and then you pay like $50 or whatever it is for the blade. Yeah, that thing pops out.
I thought I broke it.
Oh no, I don't think you can break that thing. It's pretty durable. I mean, I'm sure if you tried, but
It's got like it's so cool. It's even got like the moving parts of from the Graflex handle.
yeah, one of the things I want to do someday, if I ever have time, is make one of those lightsabers out of the old flash tube, or the what they were made from the old cameras. And you can buy those parts on eBay and stuff, but they're a little pricey for that reason, because people are making lightsabers out of them. I feel like there wouldn't be much value to them if it's just like, oh, here's an old piece from an old camera, but it's got a lot of movie history to it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, there's just some cool figures that they're coming out with, though, on this vintage line. I'm not really interested in any of them. I do some of the Black Series 6-inch figures. Like, I'll probably get this R2-D2 from Dagobah, because he's just a little dirty boy there, and I like dirty R2 for some reason. It just looks better to me than a clean R2.
Yeah.
Like, I've got the one from when he's serving the drinks on the barge. I love that one. That's a titanium one. That one's pretty cool.
The two out of these series that I'm interested in are the Gonk Droid and the Probe Droid.
Yeah, the Probe Droid, that one looks sick. And that's $30, but that's going to be awesome. And I like the little stand it's on, too.
Like it's hovering above Hoth.
Let's see, there's a couple of vehicles that they're coming out with. So the Snow Speeder and Slave One. That Slave One looks, I mean, the Snow Speeder looks great, too. $120, though. Slave One, $150, but it looks incredible. Look at the painting on the back of that.
That's real detailed.
Yeah, we never got detail like that before. If you look, I've got right above your head there, I've got the original Slave One in the scale figure to the original line. And that one's pretty cool, but it's like stickers and, one coat of paint, and then it's just like beige colored everywhere else. So this
back then no one cared. Like it was
right.
You just want something with the same silhouette. Now people know exactly what model kit of World War II tank
exactly
that one little Gridley came off of, and if it's not exact, then it's garbage.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it is, I mean, Star Wars toys have more become for collectors than they have for the kids, because kids don't play with toys as much anymore. It's pretty sad, and you can see the difference between the two, what it's directed at, because a kid's not going to spend $150, or a parent's not going to spend $150 for a kid's toy.
No,
usually.
No,
so.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, because they're just going to break them.
Yep.
Which is why it's hard to find the vintage ones in good condition, because you played with them,
Right.
All of my vintage figures up there are all battle damaged, as I call it. So yeah, they got some good stuff in the line. I mean, it's the 40th anniversary of Empire. The Yoda looks pretty cool. Comes with a snake and everything. But nothing here that super excites me except for that Slave One. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all the cool stuff that came out at Toy Fair. Like we said, today, usually after the news, we'll move into our main topic or talking to our guest. We don't really have a guest today. So what I wanted to do is just kind of talk to each other about kind of our favorite aspects of Star Wars, and then we'll kind of finish out by doing that new segment, or the segment you came up with dropping people into Star Wars.
Yeah.
And if you've got to go, just let me know, and we can cut it off whenever if you've got time constraints.
I was looking at the clock because you said you want to talk about our favorite parts of Star Wars, and I'm like looking at my clock like, do I have another 3 hours?
Yeah, exactly. That'll take forever. So I've just got a couple of questions. We'll try to go quick here, but we'll probably lead into a couple more rants.
Yeah.
So the first one, which is a toughie, your favorite Star Wars film. And if you want, you can talk about your ranking order of films too.
Oof. My first instinct was just to throw out something like super controversial and like say Solo.
Yeah,
I do really enjoy Solo.
The Clone Wars movie is your favorite.
The Clone Wars movie, I feel like you could take any frame from that movie and frame it, and it's like a piece of wall art.
Yeah,
I do think that had some really cool shots.
It's a pretty movie. Yeah, I'll give them that.
No, I do think Return of the Jedi has to be my favorite.
Really?
I just like Dark Luke. Like I said, my favorite thing is characters. So when Luke looks like he's going to the dark side, and I've heard interviews from Mark Hamill where he said that that's what he thought Luke was going, but then George Lucas kind of pulled it back from the edge there.
Yeah.
So I like that one mostly for Dark Luke, like force choking people.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I love that first bit when he comes in, and like the first time you see it, you don't really notice what he's doing to the Gamorreans. You think he's just like pushing them aside, and you're like, no, he's falling choking them.
Yeah.
Like he's gone a little to the dark side at this point. Like he's harnessing some power.
Yeah.
So My favorite Star Wars film is also Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
why
the
we're
best
friends.
one. Yeah, exactly. That's why we're friends. Return of the Jedi all the way. And I think I don't know, it might have something to do with our age. How old are you, if you don't
I'm
mind?
30.
You're 30. Okay. I'm 27, so not too far off.
No.
And I feel like, I mean, maybe it's anybody starting out as a Star Wars fan, maybe right before the prequels, but you see the first three films on VHS. At least I did when I was a kid before
I
you
still
saw
have
them.
them on VHS.
I do too, man. I've got a couple different
And I
copies
have
of
them
them.
all the novelizations.
Really? That's awesome. I see. I haven't read any of the novelizations.
I haven't read them either.
Okay, you just have them. That's awesome. But I remember, so like, Return of the Jedi was the first movie I saw in theaters because it was 1997. They just put the re-releases out. It was my brother's birthday, and so I got to tag along with him, and I thought it was the coolest thing to see
Yeah.
this movie in the theaters for the first movie ever to see in the theaters. But I feel like that movie resonates like really well with your 7 to 9 year olds, like, because you got the Ewoks in there, which a lot of people didn't like, but as a kid it's like, this is awesome. Like, I'm watching my teddy bears fight
The
white
Nazis.
space dudes. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, I think it's the best out of all of them, even though as like from a filmmaking standpoint I can look at it and be like, okay, yes, Empire is better. The fact that there's a second Death Star is a little weird, and all the like nitpicks that you can have. But like, as far as just having fun as a kid, I think Return of the Jedi is the best option.
Yeah.
They're swinging from sail barges, and I don't know, it's just a great adventure in my opinion. So
What was I going to say? Oh, my kind of intro to Star Wars, since we're kind of talking about how you got into it.
Yeah.
I don't remember watching the original trilogy. Like,
Really?
It was always just, I had just always seen it. I don't remember a time when I hadn't seen
yeah,
it. So my first real time that I got into Star Wars, and I was like, okay, this is like a thing that I'm into, was Revenge of the Sith. Oh, wait. What am I saying? Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
That's
Yeah,
one.
99. Yeah.
Like, I remember the lead up to it, and then afterwards loving Darth Maul and loving Jar Jar Binks and the Gungans.
You were what, 10 years old at the
Yeah.
time? Yeah, yeah. No,
They
and that's
were
who
the
it's for,
coolest
man.
things ever.
Yeah, yeah. I would have been like 7, and I loved it too. Like, I saw it that summer, I think 4 or 5 times, and
Yeah.
like I would just, whoever I could convince. Like, I told my babysitter, like, hey, let's go. She was like, all right. I got my parents to take me. I got my grandparents to take me, and then I asked my parents again. They're like, you've seen it already, like 4 times. What are you doing? I loved it. Like, do you remember Taco Bell's? They had like toys for it at the time, and they had like the cups with like the little little characters on top of the cups.
Right.
I was crazy, but I remember this vividly. Like, I don't remember much of my childhood, but I remember those cups. Like, that was the coolest thing. I got Watto
Okay.
when I went, and I was so mad. Like, what is this elephant trunk looking? Like, he was like a Max Rebo rip. I didn't know who Max Rebo was at the time, but I was like, this guy is weird.
Yeah.
Like, he's got like hair coming out of his chin. Like, I wanted a little Luke with his helmet and his goggles, and I was too afraid to go ask for a new one. But now looking back, like, if I ever find those on eBay, which I'm sure I can very easily,
Yeah.
the Watto one is the one I'd want. Like, that would be my go-to one. So
I don't remember those exactly, but like I said, I think just like the whole explosion of Star Wars stuff during when the
there was an energy, right,
when
at that
Episode 1 was
time.
coming out, and
Yeah.
like I saw the movie, but I really got excited just by seeing it everywhere, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I guess kids are really impressionable. We just eat up whatever's presented to us.
They are. And okay, so I used to be, I'm not really much anymore, but a Seattle Mariners fan.
Okay.
And in 1995, I would have been maybe like 3 years old, and they like went the farthest they ever did. Like, they had a great year, and I remember that like vividly, which is weird because I was super young, and my parents were like, "We never took you to see a game or anything." Like, I was like, but I remember the energy. Like, people were so like into the Mariners at the time. Like, that was the thing. So, okay. So yeah, we both like Return of the Jedi. Both our favorite movies. We can get into ranking order later because that's a whole other can of worms. Who's your
I
favorite?
have to think about it.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Well, and I tend to just like the background characters.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's another thinker.
I'll let you think on it for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and say mine. My favorite is Max Rebo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, oddly enough. Like, I mean, as far as like a character to like really gravitate to and connect with, like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, love them. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan probably might be my favorite out of like all those main characters, just because everything he says is golden, and Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness are just both incredible. But yeah, Max Rebo. If I see anything Max Rebo, I'll buy it. Like, that's my weakness. And as you can see,
I'm looking
like,
around like I see.
I have
two.
a little bit because there's like
There's
nothing
not a
Max
lot.
Rebo
There's
out there.
not a lot.
Yeah, I have the him with the red ball organ there, a little Lego, and then the Funko. But like, they did have a really cool sideshow one with like him in the Max Rebo band. But I just couldn't pull the trigger because I don't have that kind of money. But
Yeah, now that I've had a minute to think about it, I want to say like Harris and Dula.
Okay.
Is one of my top favorites.
Harrison Dula is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because she's like
love her.
the responsible one. But if I'm really thinking about it, Qui-Gon Jinn recently has become one of my favorite characters.
Everything he
the more I
says,
learn about
yeah.
him, I think Qui-Gon Jinn was actually the chosen one.
Yeah.
He really is what brought balance to the Force, because he was a really interesting guy.
He understood things way better than the Council ever did.
Like even more than Yoda.
Yeah.
We always revere Yoda as like, oh, he's the wise one
Right.
of Star Wars. No,
He's the old one.
He's the old one.
And he's wise, but
But he was the one that turned the Jedi into a military force
Mm-hmm.
that was policing the galaxy, whereas Qui-Gon Jinn was like, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm just going to keep my one Padawan. And
well, and they even do that in Clone Wars with it's the 6th season where Yoda kind of has his arc and he kind of learns that the war. He said, I can't remember the line, but it's something along the lines of, not so sure I am that anyone really wins wars. And he starts, and he learns to go commune with Qui-Gon and stuff. And I think he
Right.
just kind of like realizes like this guy was right all along. Like, if he didn't die in the first movie, like, he could have had a great impact on the Jedi Council. So
yeah, so Qui-Gon Jinn, I think, is my favorite. But that's just recently.
yeah.
If you asked 10-year-old me, it would have been Darth Maul.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if you would have asked 10-year-old me, it would have been Boba Fett or like Scout Troopers. I
Yeah.
thought Scout Troopers were so
Scout
cool.
Troopers are my favorite troopers.
They're awesome. Yeah, they're
They
my
are.
favorite troopers too, man.
Yeah.
They're great. Well, that and okay, it's kind of my guilty pleasure because not a lot of people like them, but the range troopers from Solo.
What do they look like?
They've got the like big gravity boots or
Oh,
like
yeah.
the magnetic boots and like the fur around their
The ones
collar.
that were on the train.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
have any of them. I need to buy one, but I just think they look cool.
I
Like,
can see that with your Mando
oh
costume.
yeah, my Mando's got a big fur thing around. I like pelts.
Yeah.
I'm weird that way. I like fur pelts. I think look really cool. Okay, well let's go back to the quiz here or the questionnaire. Okay, if you could live on one planet, what would it be?
Ooh. Depending on what year it was, but probably
Choose your year. Yeah, choose
Yeah.
a time, choose a place.
probably Alderaan when
Yeah.
it was still there.
Alderaan places. Yeah, that's right. When it was still there, you don't want to just be floating out in space
Exactly.
amongst the rubble.
Just like build a little house on a piece of the planet
Yeah,
floating out in space.
and we don't see it a lot, but it looks beautiful from the small bits that we do see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Alderaan probably.
Alderaan's a good choice. I haven't thought of this answer. I wrote these questions and I didn't actually think of an answer for me on this one. How about that?
How about Narshada?
Narshada, yeah,
Narshada.
or Nashada. I don't know how to say any of it. Yeah, the Smuggler's Moon. That's too much like Vegas for me. I don't think I could. I love like snowy mountains, so I wouldn't go Hoth because Hoth is like a snowy desert, right? It's like a
Yeah.
wasteland. And Ilum is probably way too cold. So I don't know. Endor might be a good choice for me actually. I don't know if it snows on Endor, but I do love the forest. I think it'd be cool to be an Ewok. I think I would really, or you know what? I would say, well, okay.
As long as you didn't get eaten by them.
Yeah. I would like to be a Wookiee on Endor rather than on Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk is cool, but it's kind of jungly, and they've got like the nice big beaches. I'm not a big beach guy. Like Hawaii is great and all, and I've been, but it's a vacation spot, not a living spot.
Right.
I could live in the forest forever. Like I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest in the Washington area, so I love it up there. Even though Endor is in California, but I think I could do well in Endor.
Well, if the Ewoks were willing to worship C-3PO, if a Wookiee who basically looks like a like an 9 foot tall
Yeah.
Ewok, I'm sure that he'd instantly be.
Well, and that's the thing is
of Endor.
they did not care less about Chewie. Like he was the one that like set the trap and then like really grabbed him, and they just ignored Chewie. And I was just like, he's just a bigger version of you guys. Like you guys don't.
Maybe that's why. Like C-3PO was all gold and shiny, but they're like, oh, we see furry people all the
Right.
time.
Yeah, we
don't
see
care about this
beasts.
guy.
Like this is just another beast in the forest, but this is like a golden rod, a golden god. Yeah. All right. So if you could, we did the planet already. Favorite ship? What's your favorite ship in Star Wars?
Ooh. Oh man, I should have read these beforehand. I thought of things. I don't know why it even took me a second to think about this. The A-Wing.
The A-Wing. Okay. Yeah.
I have several A-Wing models that I've built and modded with lights and things.
A-Wing is my favorite ship on Battlefront 2, for sure, because you just get a lot of like
maneuverability.
Yeah, maneuverability, exactly. And you do on the TIE Fighter as well, but TIE Fighter just seems weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
A-Wing
doesn't feel as fast. The TIE Fighter doesn't look like it would even move.
Right.
The A-Wing looks like it's moving when it's standing still.
Exactly. Yeah, I like the A-Wing a lot, but I would say my favorite for a while was Slave One, and that was kind of my go-to answer at first. But I really like the Mandalorian ships, like the ones that Foul Ren has, where it's like it's got the wings that like fold up and then they go forward. I think even Darth Maul gets one in Rebels. I just think those are sick too. I feel like that's the one I would own because it's like big enough to like live in, like you can hang out, but it's also looks cooler. It looks like a speeder, or I mean like a fighter rather than it does like a freight or a cargo ship.
Yeah.
The other one I really like is, have you ever played the Vader Immortal VRs?
I have not.
It's pretty cool. There's one in there called the Windfall, I think, and it's a dope looking ship, but you can't find like pictures of it on the internet or anything. Like I try to like look it up, and the only place you can see it is in playing that game.
Right.
And you like pass it like for like a brief second, like while you're passing a hangar bay, and it's like the one you show up in. And I'm like, I spend time just like sitting there staring at it, like, okay, let me take in what this thing looks like so I can remember it. Right. Okay, what's your favorite Star Wars game? Either video game or tabletop?
I mean, right now I'm really enjoying the 5th edition reskin that someone, I don't know who's behind it, but someone made it. And so if you want to read more about it, it's on sw5e.com.
SW5E.
That's my favorite Star Wars game right now. I'm having a lot of fun with that. But as far as sheer number of hours, is Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
I didn't get a
the
chance
new
to
one
play
or the original Battlefront 2?
The new one.
The new one, okay.
I haven't played any of the other Battlefront games.
Really?
I didn't get to play the first one or the original two. So I've been really enjoying the Battlefront 2 because I get to like walk around Jabba's palace.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jabba's Palace is my favorite by far level on that one.
When in The Mandalorian, when they went to Tatooine, like I knew where they were standing.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, I was like, oh, this reminds me of the level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Battlefront 1, I have it right there on a PS4 because my roommate at the time had a PS4. And so I was like, oh, I'll buy this game. It was on sale for like $20 because it didn't do so well on the first one. So I bought it, and then I moved out like 2 weeks later. So I played it like twice, and I have the PS4. I don't have a PS4. I have an Xbox. So that was kind of dumb of me. But
I own that one on Xbox.
Yeah.
They gave it to me for free for being like a Xbox Live member.
there's like no point in playing it though because Battlefront 2 is so much
I tried
better.
playing it just to see, and I don't like the gameplay as much because there's like random hero drops, and it wasn't. I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
I was too used to the new one.
And like I didn't game when I was a kid. My parents didn't really let me have a console until I was older. But I never really played the Battlefront 1 and 2, like the originals. Like I played a little bit like when I moved out for the first time. I bought them because like Star Wars games, I gotta play all of them. But I got too sucked into Knights of the Old Republic, so that's kind of my jam. That's my answer right there, is Knights of the Old Republic for video games. As far as like tabletop games, I like trivia. really kill it at trivia. I've played the Fantasy Flight tabletop RPG, the Edge of Empire. That's pretty fun. But we kind of discussed this a little bit when we first met, how the dynamic of that is not quite as nice as it is in D&D. It's kind of a weird gameplay. So not trying to knock the makers, but if you could just stick to like a numbers base rather than like trying to create your whole new type of gameplay, it made it kind of confusing. So, and then the next question is the first Star Wars film you saw and the story behind it, but you've kind of already touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, the first one I remember seeing is episode 1.
Yeah, and I'm same way. I talked about mine a little bit, but I do want to mention how it's kind of interesting how I have a similar memory. Like the first film I saw was in 1997. The re-release was Return of the Jedi, but I already knew what happened prior. Like I must have seen them on VHS or something at home.
Right.
But you don't remember. Like you just feel like you were born into this world already knowing like Vader was Luke's father. Oh, spoiler alert! Sorry guys if you haven't seen Star Wars. But Vader is Luke's father. Like you know all this big stuff that happens.
Yeah.
You know, without even remember like when you saw it. Like you probably went into the theater like I know who Luke is. I know who Vader is. When you said it was Anakin, you're like, oh, he's gonna grow up to be Darth Vader. Like
Right.
you knew that stuff already. So
Well, and this is kind of gets into the discussion of what Mark Hamill kind of realized, because my understanding, this is another tangent,
Yeah.
my understanding is that Mark Hamill was kind of upset, like a lot of people were, about the way that the new trilogy went.
sure.
But then halfway through, he kind of, at least outwardly, came to a realization that, okay, we had our Star Wars, starting in the 70s, then the kids in the 90s and aughts had their Star Wars with the prequels, and now this is just another generation.
It's just a new generation of Star Wars.
So
yeah.
it's not really ours.
And I'm interested to see what this trilogy is going to look like in 20 years when we look back and
Right.
people are grown up and they go, oh my gosh, I loved Rise of Skywalker. It was so much fun in the theaters. Like, yeah, there's a lot of problems with it logistically, but it's just a good time.
Yeah.
Me, this, crotchety old, almost 30 guy is looking at it like, oh man, they're screwing it up. Like, and I don't hate it, but it's on my bottom 3 probably.
Yeah, me too.
Just because, I don't know.
But I mean, the prequels definitely have their. I've rewatched them just the past couple months, and sometimes I'm just like, yeah, this is a lot of politics.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have gotten away with the same ideas without having to like sit in a Senate
But
for so
the
long.
funny thing is you almost crave it now. Like now that you're an adult, you're like, what's going on politically? Like what's going on with the First Order and the Republic? Like how did this all happen? And, meanwhile, the filmmakers are like, oh, they don't want politics. Let's just show them action, action, action. And it's because people all complained when the prequels came out. Like, oh, another Senate meeting? Like, is it about taxation of trade routes? That's not fun. But, like, you kind of need some of that.
But I'm a big news junkie as well.
Yeah.
And so I spend like my free time listening to real world politics. And so I'm like, let's get some Star Wars politics in here.
Exactly.
I want to hear like the trade on Beskar and how that's doing.
Yeah. I wish I knew more about the news, but I don't. I spend too much time in Star Wars. So people will be like, what do you think of Trump? And I'll be like, that's our president, right? And that's, I don't know.
He's a counselor of what planetary system?
Yeah, exactly. Guy with the weird hair, I think. So that's pretty much all for the getting to know us for our Star Wars opinions. Now if we've got the time, let's do that drop them into Star Wars segment real quick, and we can go from there. So, do you have a character in mind that you wanted to do? Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but I really wanted him to be our first one, and it's Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
So what would Mr. Bean do?
Oh my
in the
gosh,
Star Wars universe?
Mr. Bean. Yeah, that's a. Okay, where do you want to put him? Where do you want to drop him? What era? What?
Like I'm already thinking like, okay, he's got to go to the Outer Rim because he's so resourceful. He could definitely be out in the Outer Rim, like Hutt territory. But I'm just imagining like Mr. Bean walking into the cantina on Tatooine.
Okay.
Just
So we're throwing him down on Tatooine. What era? Like height of the Empire?
No, like Luke is 12. So
Luke is 12. Okay.
So like Luke is just outside the city.
So Obi-Wan's like in the distance watching things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obi-Wan is he's got his binoculars on and he's watching this like wool-suited man just like stumble into the cantina.
3-piece and a bow tie.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he's because I don't know how big of a fan of Mr. Bean you are.
Yeah, I don't know much. I just know he's kind of funny looking and
he doesn't talk much,
Yeah.
which is great. I think that's like the key to surviving the cantina.
Oh, yeah.
is don't talk to people.
Or if you don't talk to people, someone might come up to you and say they don't like the way you look. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. But
Poor
he's
Luke,
also,
mind his business.
Somehow he just always wins. He always stumbles his way. He's kind of a Mr. Magoo type guy.
It's like dumb luck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagining like Mr. Bean stumbling in there, some rough Klatooinian bumps into him. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And yeah,
What would his reaction be? I mean, he doesn't seem like...
he wouldn't react. That's
Right.
why I think Mr. Bean is such an interesting idea of like, what would he do in Star Wars? Because I don't think he would even, they wouldn't phase him.
No, he just wake up one day and like see these aliens and be like, all right,
Yeah.
this is how it's gonna go.
Yeah, he'd like steal a speeder and like try to drive the speeder while shaving. If you ever seen that episode.
I haven't, but I'm sure he would drive it perfectly, not without even
He
trying.
puts on a pair of pants while driving. And there's another episode where he changes his pants while out without ever taking off his clothes. It's funny. Yeah, so I feel like he would just like hijack a speeder, and by the end of like a week, he'd be running the place.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think he's gonna be like butting heads with the Hutts? Like the Hutts are gonna send out bounties on him, and he's just gonna
Right.
stupidly like miss them.
Yeah, he like pisses some people off, and then like 2 bounty hunters will be going after him at the same time, and he'll like go down to tie his shoe, and they'll just shoot each
Kill
other.
each other.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. So you think he'd be running the outer rim after
yeah.
quite a while?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Would he change at all, or would he still be the same old Mr. Bean, just accidentally being the biggest like crime boss in the galaxy?
I feel like his wool suit would change.
Yeah.
Like he'd have to like make a wool suit out of like the skins of his enemies.
Gosh.
No.
A real dark Mr. Bean
Yeah, and then
out of
I
Hut
think-
skin.
Yeah, he's probably like maybe a little bit force sensitive, and that's how he like stumbles around and manages to not get killed all the time.
You know,
So-
you know what this reminds me of? Have you ever heard of Tag and Bink? Or no, not Tag and Bink. Is it Tag? I think it is. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look it up now. I'm gonna have people yelling at me.
Is it a Star Wars thing?
Yes, it is. Okay, it is Tag and Bink. For some reason I was mixing it up with
yes,
Ratchet
I
and
have
Clank.
heard of this, yeah. I have heard of this. They're just like
They're
are they
two
stormtroopers?
guys who go through. It was a comic series, sometime in the aughts, if I remember correctly. Let's see if we can look it
Yeah,
up.
they're just like
First
are they
appearance
actually
2001.
stormtroopers? No.
They start out as stormtroopers,
Yeah.
and they go through pretty much the entire original trilogy, just bumbling around, causing all the major plot holes that we see. So like they're the reason there's that thermal exhaust port it's open, to be shot or whatever. And I think eventually they join the rebellion. Like they go from all the eras, and they just fumble around, accidentally turning the trilogy into what it is. So
Yeah.
I can kind of see him doing
It's
something
kind of
similar
like
to
that
that.
Phineas Ferb episode. Have
Yes,
you seen that one?
I have.
Yeah.
My wife loves that show, and it's a pretty dang good show.
It's
Like
pretty good.
it's some good writing for kids for a kids show. And yeah, that Star Wars episode is pretty fun.
Kind of like that. Yeah, I think Mr. Bean would be the Tag and Bink of the
The
Outer
Star
Rim.
Wars. You'd get them together, and you just have a crap fest there
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so
Cool.
that's all. Those are most of my thoughts on that.
Well, that'd be pretty fun. Yeah, we'll have to do this every week, and we'll just come up with new funny
Mm-hmm.
characters to drop in, and we'll give our opinions on where they would go and what they'd become in Star Wars. And to the listeners out there, if there are any, let us know which ones you want to do. We'll have to set up a Twitter account, and we'll talk about that more. But okay, kind of the last thing would be to kind of do a quick review over something in Star Wars. And I think we should do the Clone Wars episode because that just came out. I know you haven't seen it, but we can talk a little bit about it. Basically, it's called the Bad Batch, and the clones, Commander Cody and Rex, are realizing that the Separatists are always kind of getting the jump on them on this specific battle. They're battling over. Trying to remember, Caraxes or something like this. I can't
Some new
really.
planet?
Yeah, it's not new. It's actually the one we see in Rebels.
Oh.
You know where they get stuck on that planet, where I want to say Frynox or Fry, something like that. They're the purple guys that it's like a big hangar, and they're like the sun's going down, and so like they're coming out of the cave to attack them.
That like I Am Legend scene.
Yes,
with the
exactly.
sun. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the one.
They're like cats almost.
They're kind of like cats a little bit, yeah. And it's the one where Ezra has to like learn to like control them almost, and he uses them against the Empire.
Yep.
So it's that planet.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's the old Republic base there that they use. So it shows that kind of in its prime, and they actually have some of those creatures in the background on this planet, which is kind of cool.
That's so cool.
But they so it's set there, and they're fighting over this planet, and they have to kind of go behind enemy lines to retrieve something. And I won't spoil it for you, but they call in the Bad Batch, which is just like a group. It's I think it's called Clone Troop 99, and they are a group of mutated clones who have like different specialties.
That's what I heard. Like the only thing I know about it is I saw someone talking about mutations.
Yeah.
And I quickly clicked away from it.
Oh, and it's not like a crazy spoiler,
Right.
because that's like right in the first they're like introduce. Oh, here's our mutated clones. Like,
Right.
and it's pretty awesome because it's it's very much kind of hokey in the point where like, do you watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
Okay, have you seen the episode where they're putting together a crew and they're like, "Son of a bitch, I'm in." Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
It's a superhero one with like the Ant-Man?
no. This is the newest season.
Oh, I haven't seen the newest season.
Okay. It's pretty funny. But it's kind of like making fun of a little bit about like the crews, because you have these very stereotypical members in a group.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's the leader who is kind of like a Rambo guy. Like
Okay.
he always has like the red bandana around his head and the long hair. There's the sharpshooter. There's the tech savvy guy, and then there's the muscle. This big dude.
That's just the D&D group.
It's just a D&D group, and it's really cool. Like I really like the sharpshooter guy because he has like a tattoo of crosshairs. I think that's even his name is crosshairs on his eye. It just looks so cool.
That's
but
cool.
It's a beautiful show. Check it out. As far as my quick review, I say it's a thumbs up. You do learn a little bit of cool stuff at the end, so stick around for that. But mostly it's kind of a clones shooting droids in this episode.
Oh, really?
So yeah, there's not a ton to it, but it's pretty good.
Do you know how many episodes we're going to get in this?
I think it's 12. If I remember correctly, it's 3 arcs of 4 episode arcs.
Okay. Because I was wondering what they were going to do, whether they were going to have episodes like this, where it's just kind of, I obviously haven't seen it, but where it's more just like fun stuff, or if they were going to go like real heavy into wrapping up storylines.
And I wouldn't say this is like a filler episode. I mean, it is a fun episode because it does introduce something at the end that's like, oh, okay, this is where they're moving the story forward. Cool. But it's mostly action in this episode. And I think the reason they're doing these is because these were already done, right? You had the animatics already posted online, so they're like, okay, now we just have to finish them up. And so I think they just finished them. And hopefully we get some new stuff in this season, which I think we will. Like, I'm really excited to see what they do with like Ahsoka and like Mandalore and all that.
Yeah.
But no, good episode.
Might tie that into Mandalorian, and maybe the dark saber will come out.
I'm hoping they will. Yeah. I think they really should.
Moff Gideon.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see what happens with Maul, because there's so much that happens between Rebels and Clone Wars. We see the whole Black Sun Syndicate, or not Black Sun, Crimson Dawn. Yeah. And then, where he ends up on, is it Malastare? I'm trying to remember.
Well, he ultimately ends up on Tatooine. Is that what you mean?
Right. But when we first see him in Rebels, it's like a Sith planet, and I can't remember, Korriban or Morban or something like that. They keep changing back and forth between Korriban and Morban for the home of the Sith, and now it's like Exegol is what they're calling the home of the Sith. So it's like, okay.
Well, I understood that Exegol, which is not testicle, which is what I heard the first time it was said in the movie.
Take her to testicle.
I looked at my wife. I'm like, did they just say that? What did they just say? No, I understood that was more of just like a planet of the Sith, not the planet of the Sith.
Okay.
But that was just my interpretation.
Because they kept on saying in canon that, and I can't remember if it's Korriban or Morban, they swap back and forth, was like the homeworld of the Sith and like the start of the Sith.
And that's where Vader and Ahsoka fight in Rebels, isn't
yes.
it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the same place. That's where you see Maul for the first time, because he's like underneath,
that's right.
And he's got like the cane. So,
wait, that's not where you. After he's got his when he's not a spider.
Right, in Rebels, that's the first time you see Maul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. First time you see him and he's a spider, he's like on a junk planet or something, and I can't remember.
Which I had this whole discussion last night with my D&D group. If you're familiar with D&D, barbarians have a rage feature, and so our theory is that Maul is a barbarian because he was just literally too mad to die.
Yeah. He would just go into barbarian rage and just...
because you take reduced damage when you are in that rage, and so he was so pissed off that he just couldn't die.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, man. He's holding
that's
on with his rage, and that's
he was so mad that
and that's where his power of the Force comes from, right?
The Force just kept him alive.
Yeah,
and because those spider legs weren't mechanical; they were made of metal, but they weren't mechanical. They were just metal held together with Force power.
That actually, I was wondering, because I was like, who like stitched him together and like put on this metal legs and like fused his spinal cord to the AI or whatever it was, but I didn't know that was just the Force.
Because when he gets his legs, when he's on the
Dathomir
with the witches, the legs just like float apart, and you can see that there's no like gears. It's just metal shards.
That's pretty cool. Junk. And then he gets those dope new legs that are like kind of backwards folding. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that's pretty much the show. We don't have any listeners, so we're not going to do any listener questions today. But if you do ever listen to this, send us some questions. We'll tell you where, hopefully next time.
How about this? So we'll make a Twitter handle on the next one, and then I guess if anyone did listen to this, they can tweet us.
They can tweet us out.
That someone heard it.
Yeah, that would be great. We'll create a Twitter handle. You could even DM me if you want on Instagram. Yeah,
on
and leave a comment on YouTube videos. I'm gonna post this on YouTube. Hopefully Spotify and iTunes. We'll figure that out. BuzzFeed, or not BuzzFeed, Buzzsprout, not Buzzsprout. It's a podcasting hosting thing. So, leave comments if there's a place to leave comments. But yeah, we'd like to hear from you guys. And that's gonna be it. So yeah, follow Beyond the Real on Instagram. I think it is the handle there is just Beyond the Real Pod. And then Beyond the Real Pod on YouTube, or you can actually send us an email if you want at beyondtherealpod@gmail.com. So yeah, thanks guys. Thank you, Preston.
Yeah, and I will say if I'll give 1 midichlorian point to every mistake that people can find.
Perfect. We'll tally up. Yeah, find the mistakes. We'll tally up your midichlorian points. And if you have the most midichlorian points by some point in time, we'll figure it out. I'll send you an action figure or something. I have an extra one of these Obi-Wan clone commander ones that I was going to do as a giveaway on my channel, but I haven't done that yet. So
yeah.
All right.
And they legally become the chosen one.
Yeah, that's right. The more midichlorians you get, you become a chosen one. If you can get more than Master Yoda. So
this is how Star Wars works.
That's the science of Star Wars. Well, that's it. Thank you very much. Hopefully see you guys, or not see you guys, but hopefully we'll be doing this again next week. That's the plan.
May the Force be with you.
And then we'll do like a little outro song or something. We'll see.